Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Larsen live on Sunday again, uh, September 29th. Hey, remember when I told you that I would be doing it on Saturday? I lied. Why? Well, because I'm just a mean son of a bitch. Nah, just kidding. Actually, there was a thunderstorm and it knocked out the Wi-Fi, so here I am. We opened up with Dick Dale's cover of Misirlou because, of course, I did. The title of the stream references Pulp Fiction, and honestly, what other song would I use? None. That's what. Of course, you've heard it fairly often, Pony Throat. It's one of those songs that gets used in everything and anything. Yeah, so of course we will talk about the execution of Marcellus Williams, not Marcellus Wallace, which I, like everyone else, read it as. But first of all, let's talk a bit about the suckiness of schools. No, Robert Diaz, Sunday is not the new stream day. Shit happens. I'm going to try to get back to Saturday as promised. But yeah, as you all know, I am back in the public schools, and it's going pretty well so far, actually. It helps that I've discovered new ways to get the shit ass kids to get in line. The one bad thing is that the administration ends up throwing me under the bus. Because, of course, they do. I show up the first day of school. I was told to follow the book. The book starts with ancient empires. No, Larsen, they say, you got to start with medieval times and feudalism. Okay. So I write up a bunch of PowerPoints on that. And then, just last week, no, Larsen, you're doing it wrong. Do the Age of Exploration. Okay. Yeah, first of all, it's great how we're just skipping to the 1500s. Like, nothing else happened. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the shitlibs who run things seem to think that all of history began in the 1500s. And, nothing else was happening before then. We were all just gadding about the plains and, matriarchal goddess worshipping clans until the 1500s. A bunch of evil white people discovered conquest and like imperialism and like work and jobs and stuff. And patriarchy, we can't forget about that. Okay, so yeah, Age of Exploration it is. All my work was just cast to the wind, but that's okay. It's really okay. Anyway, yes, yeah, the title story, Marcellus Wallace does not look like a bitch, but Marcellus Williams might. More specifically, he is a man from Missouri who, is the latest, shit ass person who got executed, and everybody's whining about it, saying, "Oh, it wasn't sure if he murdered it." I'm sorry, he was accused of murdering a lady, and is it 100% known that he did it? No. I mean, it is known that he was a felon with prior arrests, and he just happened to have her like, purse and her laptop. Dare I say, it's a bit unlikely that he happened to rob the lady, and then she just happened to get murdered by some other guy. There is some discussion of possible coerced confession from other prisoners. I don't know. Uh, I don't know. Just personally speaking, it does seem like yet another example of a just really bad person being chosen as some kind of inspirational martyr. Seems to happen a lot, actually. Anyway, he wrote a crappy poem before he died, and that's not good. I'm sorry, that is good, and we should like have all the feelings. Apparently, I write crappy poetry too. Nobody makes me a martyr. No, just for once, can we not have some piece of shit human being like paraded around every goddamn TV screen and ask me to feel bad about them? I would appreciate that personally. Pony Throat says capital punishment is very popular amongst people who trust the government a lot for some reason. I didn't say it was particularly easy thing to deal with. I mean, I think it's pretty clearly, like, he did do some bad things. And, dare I say, I think some people should be, like, taken out. I mean, I certainly have my issues with the penal system, but, of all the many, many reasons to dislike the government, executing, garbage brappies probably isn't it. Robert Diaz says, from what I read, there was evidence contamination on the part of the state. Yeah, there might have been, which is why there was some doubt about his innocence or not. I don't know. It just seems to me like he wasn't a particularly innocent guy before he, was guilty of several felonies in the past. They just don't know if he was guilty of this particular one. I don't know. It's just like everyone's whining about, like, oh, civilized people don't execute people. The only reason that you are civilized is because you did spend hundreds of years executing people to, bring some order to your country. Now you sit here and acting like you're holier than thou. I find that a bit annoying personally. Point of Thought says, personally, I don't trust the government who did Waco and Uvalde to determine who deserves to die or not. That is certainly an argument to make. Yeah, again, like, I support the death penalty with, if you have, like, pretty clear, like, conclusive evidence. I would certainly not do it often, but on occasion, it has to be done, I think. I would also argue that, executing criminals is, like, a legitimate government function that they should be doing. A good government, not this particular government that we have. Robert Diaz says O.J. Simpson came to mind when they said chain of custody issues with the evidence. Yes, it did. Yes, this is a pretty serious issue, and I think I just wanted to make a Pulp Fiction reference. Anyway, let's leave distinctly American crappiness behind, which is to say the distinctly American crappiness of worshipping black lumpen parole criminals. Let's go to some other countries' suckiness. In India, a troop of monkeys purportedly intervened to save a 6-year-old girl, a UKG student, from sexual assault in Bagpat. Yes, a man was trying to sexually assault his little girl, and our primate friends stepped in to save the day. I mean, I think it's very nice of them personally. It's nice to see that animals can behave better than people sometimes. Let's see, any more information on this? Yeah, I think that about sums it up. The primates are our friends. Let us not suffer them. Rather, I should say, let us not make them suffer. Ian Kempster says, kudos to the monkeys. I agree. Robert Diaz says it's on par with the monkey on camera spearfishing or hunting with rocks. Yeah, frankly, there's some people I think are lower than your average primate. I would happily go to school and teach, our simian friends more than some of my students. Actually, to be fair, most of my students are pretty good. I've had some absolute dead-eyed brappies. And I think monkeys have more of the soul of God in them than some of those people. Pony Throat, referring to the Marcellus Williams thing, that says that statistically 1 out of 10 people executed were later confirmed to have been innocent. That's just the 10% that they admitted to and investigated after execution. Yes, I mean, that certainly does happen. Like I said, I personally feel that the death penalty should only be done if Like, there is absolute 100% certainty that they did it. Which I don't know if there was in this particular case. I mean, I think life in prison could have been an option here. Sipung Messiah, referring to the monkey thing, says the monkeys are evolving and humans are devolving. Yes, I have noticed that. I'm pretty soon at some point we're just going to kind of meet in the middle here. Maybe have some kind of medieval-esque civilization. Again, I would be friends with monkeys much more than a lot of the people I've met. And we look down on our simian forebears because they don't wear pants. For shame, human beings. Coming back to America now, but still dealing with animals. Apparently, New York Mayor Eric Adams is under investigation for corruption. More specifically, he is indicted for, among other reasons, misappropriating government funds to buy many crab legs. So it's, the animals all around. Humans do stupid things and the poor animals suffer for it. As many people commented on the Twitters, the phrase, the mayor is being investigated for corruption, sounds like it should be the opening of a 90s beat-em-up. And frankly, I feel that 90s beat-em-up should be the basis of quite a lot of things in society. I mean, just say the word and I will put on, like, suspenders with no shirt and run into the streets hitting people with a lead pipe and eating garbage chicken. And if that's what I got to do to clean up the streets, then so be it. Yes, apparently $20,000 of crab legs were purchased with money allocated for taxpayers or from taxpayers. Hey, Ian Kempster says if animals had religion, humans are the devil. Yes, drive the human beast back into his jungle lair where he is few in numbers. You know, I listen to Dr. Zaius. He's a good man. And, I couldn't play the piano anymore, but now I can. Wait, no, I butchered that. I can play the piano anymore, which is a good thing because I couldn't before. But yes, the beast man should be driven back into his jungle fastnesses. And, he is the devil's pawn. Alone amongst God's primates, he kills for sport, lust, and greed. Yea, he will murder his brother to possess his brother's land. Let him not breed in great numbers. He shall make a desert of his home and yours. Shun him. Drive him back into his jungle lair, for he is the harbinger of death. So saith the lawgiver. Can't say he's wrong, to be honest. Okay. Ponythroat says, DNA testing is the most common way executees are acquitted. The tendency to prove the ineptitude and malice of the police is probably why it took so much longer than needed to become mainstream. Yes, in most cases, I do support, life in prison, but again, if there's 100% certainty, I would go for execution, but only then. As I've said, I would very much reform the police system. Only people who do violent crimes should be in prison. Everyone else could be punished with a combination of fines, house arrest, community service, and public flogging. That's just my opinion, personally. Biff Slankovich says, I agree, let the Innocence Project run its course. Robert Diaz says, if Eric Adams wanted a case of crabs, could have gone to the Diddy party. There's many ways you can interpret that, and they're all good. Ponythroat says, did you ever notice that Mike Hagar only has one suspender? They must switch to the other's shoulder when he turns around. Yes, I have noticed that. Yes, I've also noticed that Quite a few of the old video game sprites switch hands up pretty frequently. Dave Slankovich says Mayor Adams got housing permits for Turkish landlords so he could get medallion flights to Turkish Airways for him and his girlfriend. Yes. Pony Throat says, I think serious conviction needs a Pixar didn't happen clause. Yes, I agree. I mean, look, like, Marcellus Williams was a pretty shitty human being. Did he deserve to die? I mean, maybe, maybe not. I think he was guilty of some things. You know, rotting in prison might have been good for him. But yeah, I just personally speaking, I wouldn't execute a guy unless you had 100% certainty. Timothy Adams says public service and fines and supervision would be a far better system for most crimes. Absolutely, I agree. I mean, in general, I am very much in favor of just paying brappies to, like, stay home and not commit crimes. I mean, it'll save money in the long run, I think. But yes, the mayor is corrupt, and by God, we need some martial arts vigilantes to clear up the streets. We need Mike Hagar and Cody Travers and Guy. I don't think he has a last name, and Axel and Blaze and Doctor Faustus, whatever his name is, and Eddie and Skate, and all the dudes to clean up the streets with lead pipes and fire uppers and garbage can chickens. I don't know why we don't base our morality on 90s beat 'em ups. The world would be a better place if we did. But I digress. Hey, staying on with American politics here. Let's see what Robert F. Kennedy's up to. Okay, so apparently Robert F. Kennedy, and this might shock you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had an affair with a journalist named Olivia Nuzzi. Yeah, I know this is shocking. A Kennedy had an affair. I'm shocked and appalled. Bear in mind, of course, that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s wife, Cheryl Hines, was a former side piece of his who he was fucking around with when he was married to his first wife. Anyway, Bobo is attempting to sue or send a cease and desist to Olivia Nuzzi after she bombarded him with increasingly pornographic pictures and videos. I gotta say, like, being, like, so horny that you put off a Kennedy, that's pretty impressive, Olivia. Like, that should be an award in and of itself. I mean, not that I can blame Bobo here. I mean, in the past, I've been bombarded with, like, sects so much. I'm like, okay, this is good. Okay, it's good. Okay, that's enough now. Thanks. That'll be all. So, I don't blame him necessarily. But, I don't know, I find this very amusing. Like, you're too horny for a Kennedy. That's honestly astounding. Olivia Nuzzi, of course, being one of the 43 side pieces that Bob Jr., Bob, was sleeping around with. I don't know if anybody does call him Bob, like JFK Jr. was John, but by God, I'm starting it now. Hey, Biff Slankovich says we need Curtis Sliwa and the Guardian Angels. Didn't Curtis Sliwa try to run for mayor or something? Yeah, that didn't happen. But yes, I am very much of the final fight, Streets of Rage, like vendetta solution. Trying to think. We need we need final fight guys, Streets of Rage guys. We need Billy and Jimmy Lee, Bimmy to Jammy. We need Alex and Ryan from River City Ransom. They could do the suburbs. Then there's a Vendetta, which jeez, I don't even remember what the guys' names were. That I know in Vendetta there was a guy who looked like Jean-Claude Van Damme, a guy who looked like Mr. T, and a guy who looked like Hulk Hogan. I don't remember the characters' names. Uh, then there's bad dudes. Why do I have so much information about the '90s beat 'em ups? Well, that's what happens when you base your childhood morality on these games, and that had no ill psychological effects on me at all. Wink. Ponythroat says, "Only trust your fist. The police will never help you." Yes. Robert Diaz says, "Kennedy men having mistresses has got to be a genetic trait at this point." Yeah, probably. That's why I said, like, this might surprise you, but the Kennedys are having mistresses. But the fact that this woman is like out hornying the Kennedys is pretty damn impressive. Now, granted, like in my past, I've been like flooded with hundreds of like nude selfies, but to the point where it got like kind of irritating. But I had a real job then. He's a politician, doesn't do a real job. Like, how many goddamn nude selfies is this woman sending him that a politician is distracted? Okay, Ponythroat says, "It's kind of surprising to hear you bring up Vendetta. It's underrated." Yes, it is underrated. Yeah, there's a lot of good beat 'em ups actually, like Captain Commando. Isn't there one that's like Roar? It's like some kind of like it's like kind of furry, but it's cool. And there's a Growl, which is like where you're fighting like poachers and stuff. Timothy Adams says to have been young when the GAs were patrolling the subways. Well, we might get to that point again. Albert Diaz says we need the Punisher and the Narc guys. Yeah, Bimmy and Jimmy, the Cadillacs and dinosaurs. Yeah, not Pit Fighter though. Pit Fighter sucks. C-Punk Messiah says 80s and 90s video game heroes were good masculine role models. Yeah, damn right. Dave Slankford says Curtis for mayor. Do it again. Perhaps we shall see. Maybe if Eric Adams gets thrown out, Curtis Sliwa can win. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. There wasn't like a huge amount to talk about this week, news wise. Actually, a lot of pop culture stuff came up. But let's see what we got. Okay, leaving America and going to Mexico. Uh, Mexico had a bit of a international incident this past week. They snubbed King Felipe of Spain. President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. Amazing how you managed to get an Ashkenazi Jew instead of a Sephardic Jew in a Spanish-speaking country, but never mind that. She refuses to invite the King of Spain to her inauguration because he did not apologize for colonialism. This is... Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't some king of Spain, wasn't it Juan Carlos, didn't he apologize for colonialism? As if Mexico isn't literally a colonialist country, despite the fact that they try to claim otherwise. Like, how... I don't know, this is ridiculous. Some people theorize that perhaps it's because of the expulsion of Jews that she's mad. I don't know. It's probably a combination of both. I mean, personally, I find it a bit silly that, a lot of Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America try to pretend like, oh, we're just the indigenous people, like, we don't have colonialism. even though the people running the show are still basically like, Criollos, but never mind that. I don't know, this is kind of a minor incident. Obviously, King Felipe doesn't enjoy being snubbed. Hopefully, they can work this out. We look at some comments over here. Ponythroat says, furry beat 'em up. Sounds like you're describing metamorphic force. That might be it. Let me see. Just briefly look this up. Sorry, I can't talk about serious issues. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might be it actually. Like metamorphic force, and then there's Violent Storm, Captain Commando. So that's good stuff. Robert Diaz says, what about Guardians of the Hood? Yeah, that game is a pile of shit. I've had the misfortune of playing that one. Yeah, it's basically like a belt-scrolling brawler version of Pit Fighter. It's not great. Base Lankovich says, Curtis Leroy wears a red tee and a beret. Not the fancy suits Adams wears. Ponythroat, referring to Guardians of the Hood, says it's not as bad as stated. It has buttons and combos, fighting game controls basically. Looks hideous. It is unironically the spiritual successor to Pit Fighter. I remember years ago, I was reading an issue of Game Informer, and at the end of the issues, they used to have this thing where like readers could write in and they could say like what they think the best game of all time was. One idiot said Pit Fighter, and some other jackass said Night Trap. I always say I wish I could reach through the screen and punch people in the face. I wish I could reach through the magazine page and punch people in the face because that's embarrassing. Say that Night Trap is your favorite game of all time. Ponythroat says there's a furry game called Bloody Roar. It's a fighting game, not a beat 'em up. I'm well aware of Bloody Roar, sir. I own a copy of it for the GameCube. No, I could have sworn there was a beat 'em up called like Growl or like Roar or like Grunt. No, Grunt is the wrestling movie. Okay, Growl is the beat 'em up I was referring to where you fight poachers and stuff. Now I'm actually kind of interested in metamorphic force. I'm going to try to look this one up. Give me 1 second here. Let's get some YouTube videos of this. I think you are correct about this, Ponythroat. This is the game you were referring to. Yes. I could confirm for sure if YouTube would stop being stupid. Yeah, this is it. Metamorphic Force. Good old Konami beat 'em up. Yeah, to clean up the streets, we could just get all the beat 'em up characters. Both the original ones and like the licensed games that Konami made. Konami made like the Simpsons beat 'em up, the Ninja Turtles, Asterix and Obelix, Bucky O'Hare, all that stuff. Yeah, Sailor Moon. Yeah, that game was actually pretty good. Ponythroat says there's a growl in which you play as Indiana Jones, seemingly murdering poachers. Yeah, that's the one I was referring to. Big Stankovich says, where's Bernie Getz these days? I mean, I know he's a free man. He's not in prison anymore. Yes, also Growl is infamous for the final boss being a man, and then you beat him down, and then his like back explodes and he becomes this giant like alien thing, and that's like the final boss. Ponythroat says nobody's played more arcade beat 'em ups than me. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good contender for that. I mean, beat 'em ups are one of my favorite genres. Yeah, we could get all the licensed ones. Final Fight. We get Knights of the Round. I'm really surprised that during all the when Konami was doing all like the licensed cartoon ones, they never made one based on the Conan the Barbarian cartoon. But I digress. Anyway, going back to serious news, I like how we're all talking about arcade beat 'em ups. Nobody cares about the Mexico thing. Let's see, what do we have here? Do I have anything else to talk about, or are we just going to talk about pop culture? I guess we could just talk about pop culture, kind of. Let's bridge the gap with some sports news. Okay, so a couple days ago, the UFC had their first event in Paris. Brazilian fighter Renato Moicano won an upset victory over French brawler Benoit Saint-Denis, and he proceeded to go on a pretty intellectual rant on the microphone. Senor Moicano said, I like the French people. France is a beautiful country, but your government sucks. Emmanuel Macron sucks. The globalists suck. The French Revolution was bad. He went on this sort of like Hans Hermann Hoppe like rant about like, the God that failed democracy. We shall go back to worshiping Jesus Christ. Yeah, he went on this full like kind of Thermidorian rant about like, kind of anti-French Revolution. Yes, the Vende is alive and well in Brazil. Thank you, sweaty punch man. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed that like a fighter would actually go on a pretty intellectual rant like this. I mean, some fighters are pretty smart, like former UFC heavyweight champ Shane Carwin was a legit electrical engineer, but I don't think anyone's ever gone on like a philosophical, kind of political rant like this. I gotta say, I am very impressed, sir. So saith a Twitter person. I am a Brazilian here. It's been a long time since I felt pride in my country. There are still good people here. Moicano was 100% right. God bless us all. I think, I hope it starts a trend. I hope that more fighters get into reading like obscure political reactionary philosophy. I try to spread it to my fellow martial arts friends, but they don't listen. Hey, Ponythroat asks, has Larsen ever played D&D Crew? Is that Dynamite Ducks? If so, yes. Otherwise, no. Ian Kempster says, I grew up in the 80s. Got you both beat. Ah, but you didn't have a lonely childhood of playing MAME. Biff Slankovich says, Bernie Getz did 1 year in jail, but he's still living in Manhattan. Yes, I know that. Ponythroat says, I kind of feel like we had some beat 'em ups that were like Conan and all but name, like Magic Sword. Yeah, there were a few like that. And then there was there was Rastan, which is more of a platformer. But that was very Conan-ish. And then there was another there were a couple of Rastans that were pretty good. Hey, Robert Diaz, referring to the Moicano thing, says that rant is on par with Jim Mora's playoffs rant. Perhaps, but is it as good as Allen Iverson's whining about practice rant? There's many sports rants, but the Moicano's might be one of the best. I mean, certainly a better UFC rant than some other ones we've had in the past, like, the rants in which Tito Ortiz tries really hard to pretend he's a heterosexual. Yeah, whoops. Okay, now let's move on to pop culture. It was a hell of a thing this week. First of all, there's a new movie coming out on Netflix, starring Dwayne Johnson, Chris Evans, Lucy Liu, and J.K. Simmons. Red One. It's some kind of like ass-kicking action Christmas movie, and it looks like absolute shit. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is literally the movie that Bill Murray was making in the movie Scrooge. It was like, the night the reindeer died, starring Lee Majors. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw the trailer, and I'm not alone in this. Other people say this looks like a movie that Tug Speedman would have made in the movie Tropic Thunder. Here we go again. Again. Then somebody in the thread suggests, why don't we make like a whole franchise of fake action movies, like Tug Speedman movies. I would actually like that. And when was the last time we had a really good spoof action movie, like Loaded Weapon? That one was pretty decent. Speaking of Samuel L. Jackson in my early references in the stream. Dabba 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 ding dang, as Patrice O'Neill would put it. Ponyfoot says there are some intellectual fighters, and then there's Mike Tyson. May he forever fade into Bolivian. Yes. C-Punk Messiah says Dick Kickham needs to be made. What the hell is Dick Kickham? Okay, give me a second to look this up. Okay, Dick Kickham. Okay, so it's apparently some kind of spoof Duke Nukem thing. It's time to kick gum and chew ass. Yes, we all try to chew ass, sir. Yes, I would love to see Dick Kickham. Yes, I would love to see Dick Kickham. Yeah, we need to make Dick Kickham. We need to make Steven Seagal's Cock Puncher. There's a few spoof action movies we could be making right now. But yeah, not looking forward. Yeah, I will not be watching Red One. It's looks pretty bad. I know everybody wants to have their Christmas movies every year, but I think we can do better than this. Hey. Yeah, so that movie doesn't look great. Speaking of movies, Dame Maggie Smith is unfortunately no longer with us. Famous actress, best known for Harry Potter, and I personally knew her from Clash of the Titans, and some other, actually proper movies as well. Yeah, she died of a terminal case of being 90 years old. Yes, but in all seriousness, she was a major part of many people's childhoods. There was apparently some kind of wand-waving whoop-de-doo at Universal Studios, so yes, may she rest in peace. My regards to her family. Speaking of movies, we have to hear about the greatest movie franchise of all, the Paddington movies. Okay, so discussing film says Paddington 3, in which the eponymous bear will be going back to his homeland of Peru. So saith Empire Online. Paddington 3 will be influenced by Werner Herzog's South American movies like Fitzcarraldo and Aguirre the Wrath of God. Yes, because when I'm watching this movie about a charming bear and his human friends, I really want to be inspired by a movie about a deranged conquistador going mad in the jungle. I am Paddington, the Wrath of God. Me and my daughter will found the greatest dynasty the world has ever known. Any man who stands against me, we cut into 1,000 pieces. Follow me and there'll be riches beyond measure. Yeah, personally, I can't wait to see Paddington slowly being driven to madness by a deposed Incan aristocrat playing the panpipe in his face. I would reference Fitzcarraldo, but I've never seen Fitzcarraldo. I mean, I know what it's about per se. It's about some guy who drags a boat through the jungle for some reason. Someone puts it best. Behind the scenes footage of Paddington 3, and it's footage from the My Best Fiend documentary, in which Klaus Kinski tries to shoot Werner Herzog. Yeah, can we like dig up Klaus Kinski and make him do the voice of Paddington? Yep, just replace all Paddington dialogue with Klaus Kinski's like German fury. But no, I envy this. I too dream of like putting on a white suit and a Panama hat and like shooting at random people in the jungle someday. Ponythroat says Steven Seagal took a knee during the BLM protest. He didn't know they were protesting or anything. He just got winded on the block and a half walk to the hoagie shop. Yes. I mean, if this movie involves Paddington wearing armor and like throwing monkeys at like slaves, I'll be first line to watch that movie. I have a new meme I'm putting in my meme reel. Okay, let's see. Let's add a source here. Yeah, more like Chaddington Bear, am I right? Yep, it really do be like that. Seabung Messiah says Klaus Kinski was in the Wehrmacht. Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he in for like a week and then like that was like right before the German surrender? Let me look that up. Seabung Messiah also says, considering how insane he was, I'm surprised he wasn't let into the SS. Yes, I'm also surprised. Let's see. Yes, he was 19 years old when he got drafted. It was like, yeah, very briefly in the Wehrmacht. But yeah, I mean, I'm honestly surprised he wasn't in the SS, considering he was literally a diagnosed psychopath who, yes, was also molesting his daughter. But never mind that. Biff Slankovich says he was a scary Dracula. Yes, he sure was. So clearly, this is the guy who should be inspiring Paddington 3. Liam Roddy says, I remember when Paddington ate that monkey. Yes, it's all part of finding the city of El Dorado. Dave Slankovich says, what about the new Joker movie? Any thoughts? I mean, I like the first one. I guess I'll wait to see what word of mouth says about the Joker Folie à Deux. I mean, I do like Todd Phillips. He's a good director. We shall see. Pointerthroat says, have you ever played the classic arcade beat 'em up Knuckle Bash? Uh, I don't think I have. Let me just look up some footage of this. Yeah, I have not played this, sir. Might look into it if I have some free time at some point. I mean, it can't be any worse than like some of the beat 'em ups that have existed. Like 10-Cent Joe or Gardens of the Hood. Also, I'm looking at this footage. Why is like one guy an Elvis impersonator and the other guy's like a Mexican wrestler? I'm already intrigued by this. Okay. Liam Roddy says the new Joker movie's pretty good. The ending has people at odds, though. Well, don't tell me what happens. I got to see it for myself. Okay. Moving on from that. Going from celebrity death to celebrity life. Apparently, Bruce Springsteen, the pride and joy of Freehold, New Jersey, has turned 75 years old on September 23rd. And I don't know what happened, but Bruce Springsteen looks like an old lesbian. I don't know what it is, but like some men, like when they get old, they just look like elderly lesbians. I don't understand like what's going on. So let me pull up Brucey over here. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Bruce Springsteen, but I mean, I know he's old, but he's looking a bit sus. Point of says knuckle bash is something no other genre does. The ability to punch while walking forward. The belt lines look kind of sus, though. Yeah, the animation looked a little iffy from what I saw. And actually, that's not true. The original Renegade gave you the ability to punch while running forward. You could do kind of like a clothesline. So, yes, my best wishes to the boss. May he, not look like an elderly lesbian in the future. Okay, let's say one more thing about movies. Apparently, there's been a bit of a tiff because there's going to be a film adaptation, one of several film adaptations of Emily Brontë's classic Wuthering Heights. People are mad at the casting. Why? Because, let me just pull this up here. The film is apparently going to star Margot Robbie and who's the other? Jacob Elordi. Okay, as Jacob Elordi will be playing Heathcliff, and Ms. Robbie will be playing Wutherington. Or I've never actually read Wuthering Heights. I have no idea what the woman's name is. Anyway, people are mad at this because apparently Heathcliff is a person of color. Citation needed. Now, I have never read the book, but I do know that Heathcliff is explicitly described as a gypsy. And people are mad because, he should be played by a black man. He's described as being dark. He is black. He is biracial. He is a person of color. These people are not aware that 18th century, or 18th, 19th, whenever it was, UK was extremely white. And when you see people described as being dark in that kind of literature, they literally mean people who look like Mr. Bean, like white people with black hair. Like, I assure you, from what very little I know of the story, Heathcliff was not a black man. I mean, boy, I sure wish there was some ladies in the chat who could tell me what I'm getting wrong or right about this. Okay, Biff Sankford says that can't be Bruce. I mean, Bruce Wayne was a little kid in the first Joker movie. Funny thought says, Knuckle Bash allows you to use your normal punch combo without walking, not just a charge attack. This is why the character sprites are made of 2 pieces. I see. Now, why are the sprites a Elvis impersonator and a Mexican wrestler? That's the Mr. I have to explain. And look at you people, you're still talking about your video games while I talk about the Brontes. Try to bring some culture to you people, and this is how you repay me. Yes, like I said, I have never read Wuthering Heights. I'm not going to pretend like I can comment on this. In fact, I'm not at all very knowledgeable about the Brontes. I did read Jane Eyre, and by read, I mean I saw the movie. So that's about the extent of my Brontology. So maybe I should stop talking about things I don't know about. Okay. We do have some video to talk about. Well, we've been talking about plenty of video already. But before we do that, let's talk about a little Twitter silliness. Of course, as you know, I go into some weird circles on the internet. And once again, user The Hellenist is saying some pretty sus things. And I quote, Gymnos means nudity in Greece. Gymnasium should be a place where men train in the nude. There should not be women allowed in the gym. There should be it should just be men training naked. The fact that modern gymnasia require clothing and admit women is a slap in the face. He goes on. Leave your degenerate gym. We should make Hellenistic gyms. Gyms where men are nude. And gyms where men are nude and women are not allowed. Okay, seriously, can online Hellenists and online Greek kind of revival people stop being flamboyantly homosexual for 5 goddamn seconds? He wants a gym where women are not allowed and men train naked. Ian Kempster asks, when is the next Kung Fail video? Whenever I have free time to make a video, I do this. I made a terrible mistake and I got a real job, which means I can't make videos as much as I used to. Ponythroat asking about the Hellenistic gym asks, isn't that just like a San Francisco bathhouse with extra steps? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh, poorly edited Jimmy Neutron screenshots. You are funny. This is the white man's religion. Hellenist, this is the 7th week in a row you've come out as a homosexual. Yeah, well said. C-Punk Messiah says, I'm saying this as a bisexual man. Wait, I'm sorry, I think I'm missing something here. Yes, that is incredibly fruity, what this man is suggesting. I mean, personally, back when I used to live alone, I would work out alone. I would do calisthenics and stuff in the nude, but that's in private. I'm not doing that in public. We're not having some fruity, ancient Greek thing where we, wrestle around naked and then we oil each other up and, scrape the sand off ourselves with clamshells. Yeah, seriously, Hellenist, can you please just be open about your sexuality? There's nothing wrong with being gay. Just accept it, dude. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Online right-wingers, can you please go 10 minutes without being these weird little gay boys? Or at the very least, just be open about what you are. Accept it. There's nothing wrong with being gay. Just stop denying it. No, man, I'm not gay. I'm a ancient Spartan, warrior man. Spartatiate me. Seabunk Messiah says, play some Manowar and add some extra homoeroticism. Well, of course. I think there's a reason why I don't take these people too seriously. Anyway, got a couple of video game related news pieces. We're going to go to the land of the rising sun. First of all, the creator of Dragon Quest had a bit of choice words to say. Okay, he just said how the company forces him to make changes that appeal to the insane woke American market. And I quote, "There's a religious concept from the West, especially in the USA, that influences sex education, right? In Dragon Quest, you used to be able to pick between male and female characters. But now we can't do that anymore. Doing business with such a ridiculous country is really frustrating. Because of that, Japan gets negatively influenced." Well said, sir. I mean, I've never been a big Dragon Quest fan. I mean, I only have so much tolerance for, like, Akira Toriyama doing the same 5 faces that he always does. And, but yeah, he's right on the money. It really is a religious concept, and the world suffers for it. Also, I like how the left-wingers are still talking about how right-wing and fascist America is when, people who actually do business are, like, saying America is so insanely woke and left-wing that it's affecting their bottom line. The communists won. Gee, people wonder why everyone's going to manga and Japanese stuff. Because our stuff is crap. Ponythroat says, Andrew Tate says everything is gay except having sex with men. Did he say that? I mean, I know Nick Fuentes says that. I mean, Andrew Tate's a rapist. He's not gay. Yeah, Nick Fuentes is the one who's like, going on dates with women and like kissing girls is gay. Like that's literally a direct quote from him. He says as if he's not buried deep in the closet. Ponythroat says, the guy who made the RPG with the second most generic name in history, right after Adventure Quest. Well, don't forget EverQuest. And of course, there's Quest 64. In fact, anything with Quest in it is pretty damn generic. And finally, speaking of Japan, but only tangentially, fresh off the success of their Black Myth Wukong game, the Chinese game studio, whose name I can't remember at the moment, has announced plans to make a new game. A first-person shooter set in the Sino-Japanese War, the Second Sino-Japanese War, which bled into World War II. I am of mixed opinion on this. On the one hand, I've wanted for years for there to be a Sino-Japanese War FPS, because it really hasn't ever been a setting that's been explored much. And Lord knows I would love to play as a big sword unit member. On the other hand, the company in question is basically run by the Chinese government. So I ask, are they going to portray the war accurately? Or is it going to be Chi-Com propaganda horseshit? Are they going to portray it accurately, which is to say that the communists basically, hid like bitches and let the nationalists get killed and then waited for the war to be over so they could finish them off? Or will they portray it accurately? I don't know. And frankly, I refuse to, play any game in which, Joe Enlai is, teaching me the tutorial. I am tepidly interested, but we shall see how it goes. Shinseki Evans says, "What's with the online tactics where the leftists pretend they don't know what woke means?" I mean, it's obfuscation, sir. Simple as that. Ponythroat says, "Adventure Quest doesn't even sound real. It sounds like a game they made up in a Simpsons episode." Yes, it does. I mean, let's also not forget that the Simpsons used the term Zork in a context completely different to the way it should be done. Pow, Zork, Kapowza, Zaz. What is Zork? I never said Zork. Yeah, so I'm tepidly interested in that Sino-Japanese War FPS. But that does it for my prepared remarks. You can say your last pieces now, should you desire. Ponythought says, "I recall a dream a few minutes ago. Stagnant, undecrable, sensat. Been happening for months. Feels like I'm having some kind of aneurysm." I don't know what you're saying, sir, but perhaps you should get that checked out. But then it's gone. The harder I try to grasp it, it's like trying to catch smoke. Well, you know, the gentleman from Porlock makes you lose track of your dreams, sir. That always happens. C Punk Messiah says, "Ponythroat needs to take his horse Gatorade. You sound dehydrated." Yes. Okay, I don't think anyone has anything else to say. So for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.